And my role as costume designer is I have to basically decide what the actors wear, and that means looking at all the character decisions that we might make.
I knew that I wanted to reference the Victorian period, but I didn't want the costumes to be really authentic. Katie Sykes has done the most incredible job on the costumes, because when you see them you think Victorian, but there's also a very contemporary and fresh kind of look to them.
Jane's a really interesting character because we have to see her grow from a child to an adult, and so when we first see her she's wearing a much more childlike costume, and then there's a big costume change for her that happens on stage. In fact, all her costume changes happen on stage, which is quite a that's quite a complicated thing to work out because they all have to happen in a certain time frame to the music.
We see Jane grow from a child to an adult. That was something I wanted to see on stage. I didn't want to have the character going off and then coming on grown up. What that meant in terms of what she'd be wearing is really interesting, because she has to get corseted and she has to get kind of again constrained, and the female underwear is part of that being repressed. So I wanted to show that.
So she goes from wearing a quite simple cotton pinafore to a corset and a petticoat to a much more structured dress, and then she also has to get out of that more structured grey dress into a wedding dress that then also has to be pulled off in like a second. So her costumes are quite complicated, yeah. The dress that she wears, the grey dress that she wears throughout most of the show, is very important. I wanted it to be something that looked very plain, very simple, but had a really elegant shape to it. We realised once we got into the technical rehearsal that she wasn't comfortable enough in it, once we realised how much toll it was going to take on her body, climbing up and down the ladders and all the movement that she has to do. So we actually had to adapt it quite a lot and put a lot of stretch panels into the bodice part of the dress. And in a sense it's more like a piece of dancewear. The costumes aren't big whiz-bang costumes like you might see in another production where they really stand out. I wanted them to be subtle, and I wanted them to be to disappear sometimes, to not overwhelm what went on. I wanted the physicality to really come out, and I didn't want to restrict any of the performers physically by what we put them in.